So if you're part of the hundreds of people who feel overwhelmed editing 360 videos, this video is going to make it easy for you. I want to show you how to use the Insta360 Studio to edit your 360 videos, and I'm going to show you how to reframe, edit, export, and I'm going to show you how to edit multiple clips at the same time. This tutorial will work whether you've got an X2, an X3, or an X4 camera, which is what I'll be using for this tutorial. Let's jump in. I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started. Okay, so first things first, you want to go to insta360.com/download. Download the Insta360 Studio app here. There is a link here for Mac computers and Windows, so go ahead and do that. Then once you've downloaded and installed Insta360 Studio, you're going to open it up, plug your SD card in, and we're going to look at importing the footage from your SD card into Insta360 Studio. Now, I've put my SD card in my MacBook, and it's given me this automatic prompt here to import all the videos that it's found on the SD card, or I can select files. So if you've got an SD card that's only got 360 footage on, you can click import all. For this, I'm just going to click select files. And then it's going to open up the camera. So then you're going to need to navigate where your footage is. And I'm just going to grab these files here. So 360 files, Insta360 saves them as .insv. So I'm going to pull both of those in just to the left there. Okay, so it's opened up both the files. Let's just do a quick overview of Insta360 Studio so you know exactly what everything does. So on the left here, we've got all our files, and we can also choose cloud files and local files, all sorts of display settings here you can play around with. In the middle here, we've got our 360 view. So I'm just clicking now and dragging around, and we can start to play around with our footage. If I use two fingers on my mouse pad, it's just going to zoom in and out. I'm going to show you more about this in a second. The bottom here, we've got the timeline, and then we've got all sorts of playback buttons, trim tools, motion tracking, and keyframes, which I'm going to walk through in a sec. And on the right here, we've got a tab full of tools. So we click on the top one, we can decide whether we want stabilization in the flow state, turn it on or off, front direction lock, which I will show you how to use. When you can decide if you're using a lens guard or not. I don't use one. Whether you've got a dive case, whether you're using a thermo grip, camera gets a little bit warm, so they've got a thermo grip cover you can use. The stitching optimization. Then we can actually play around with the colors, make some adjustments. We can do some work on the audio, decide whether we want to add a watermark, which I'm not sure why you'd want one, but it's there. Clip management, and then the information of your clip, which can be quite useful. Okay, so we've got our clip inside the interactive viewer here. And what we need to do first is top and tail the clip, or trim it down to the section that we want to film. There's going to be part at the end and the start where you're pressing record and getting your camera in position, which you probably don't want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click play on the playhead here. I'm going to play it to roughly where I want my clip to start. So let's just go here. And then you can either click this button here, which is mark as trim start, or you press command and the left bracket, and it will trim it to the start there. So that's now the start of my clip, and I'm going to let it play through. Don't worry about where the camera's pointing just yet. You want to just trim the clip down to the segment you want. So let's just go and pause it there. And then you want to press this button here, which is going to mark the end of our trim. And that is our workable clip. What I'm also going to do here as well is use the magnifier here just to zoom in. So this we just get a bit more refined with our keyframing. So I'm going to click that. It's going to take up pretty much the whole timeline there. So I'm going to show you a number of different ways to do this. So first of all, we're going to go to the start of our clip. And I'm going to use my two fingers on the tracking pad to zoom in and out of where we want the camera to be like facing. So I want myself in here. So the next step in the process of editing 360 videos is we're going to start keyframing and reframing. Now, how reframing works, if you choose to use keyframes, is you will select two keyframes between 2 points. And what the camera or the software will do is the camera angle will move direction between the two keyframes. So we can work our way through this clip and we can decide where we want the camera to point at different points in our video. I'm going to click here to add a keyframe, this plus button. From here, we've got a number of different settings that pop up. So we can choose these different presets here. So crystal ball, tiny planet, which makes my head look ridiculous, mega view, ultra, and D-warp, which is like your standard flat image. Once I'm happy with where this clip is going to start, we can also play around with these different angles here as well. Tilt, the roll, field of view, and distortion. I'll go back to D-warp, zoom out a little bit. That's my starting position. Let's also say I want to make this clip for Instagram. Here we've got the ratio, and we can change this depending on what you want the outcome to look like. So you've got 1:1, 9:16, 16:9, which would be a YouTube video, 4:3, like an Instagram post, 3:4, or 2.35.1. I've never used that. I mainly use these two here for either vertical or horizontal videos. I want to make a vertical video for Instagram, so I'm going to position my shot. I'm going to let the clip play, and as I walk out the door and around the corner, I'm going to add another keyframe down here. So Command and K, or you can press this plus button here. And what this will do now, depending on where I point my camera at this keyframe, so I highlight it and then change direction, like say forward, maybe there, start the video playing, it will transition between the two keyframes as I play. And the more keyframes we add, the more transition points. So if I add one straight in the middle, Command and K, and let's just say I want to just do a mad zoom out for some weird reason, and then here's the start. It's going to do that now. It's going to zoom out, and then it's going to come back into my next key point like that. So that's one way to reframe your footage. Another way, what we can do, we can turn direction lock on. So what this will do if we turn it on, and delete some of these keyframes. Now if we use the same clip and go to the start, add a keyframe, get it all set up again. Direction lock basically tries to lock on to the horizon and the lens it's facing. So if I point my lens here in the keyframe and press play with just one keyframe, it's going to try and keep me in the frame, and it's going to keep pointing where that lens is pointing. So that's what the shot looks like. And another way of reframing that I like doing is using the AI tracking. So this is really good if you've got a subject and you want to track, say, a person walking or a specific moving subject. And I use this button here, which I believe is called Deep Track. And what I'm going to do, and you'll notice there it's picked up me as a subject, but you can also draw a box around the object you want to track. And if you click Start Tracking, it will start to track me throughout the whole video, which is really bloody cool. And it's really accurate as well. I'm going to play it back and you'll see exactly how this works. Absolutely amazing. I think my favorite method of reframing is manually adding keyframes, mainly because I do a lot of dynamic videos, especially mountain biking and moving around with my 360 camera. If you are simply just walking down a street and there isn't really too much dynamically going on, or maybe you are just holding your camera out of a car window or just walking really slowly with it, you can probably use the direction lock and AI tracking way better. And it's probably going to take you less time as well than manually adding keyframes. But I personally like manually adding my keyframes because I want to get a little bit more personal with my video and just add my own finer tweaks to things. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the speed of your clip. So we're going to use something here called time shift. And what we're going to do here, same idea as before, we're going to rotate round our clip. I'm going to keep it in this ratio, so it's a slightly different clip this time. And I'm going to, first of all, turn direction lock. It's off, yep. I am going to just quickly add some keyframes to this video. I'm just moving through house. Here. Turn that there. Keyframe. I'm adding quite a few keyframes, as you can see. Keyframe. Okay, so we're going back to the start of our clip. And I'm going to click this button here called time shift, which is like this lightning bolt. You can choose on this slider bar here, this red part, how much of the clip you want to go into time shift and speed up. So let's just say we want the whole clip. Let's just go and select the full clip. And I've just clicked. And then you can decide the speed at which you want to speed your clip up. You can see you can go up to 64 times, which is going to be way too fast for our clip. But I'm going to go for 8 times. And you'll notice as well, it's automatically turned this motion ND effect on, which is going to add a really nice motion blur to your video to make it feel more realistic. So I'll play this now, and just bear in mind that the motion effects won't be at full quality until you export them. So it does look a little bit compressed. Don't worry about it. Okay, so I'm going to just slow that down a little bit. I think it's a little bit too fast and my clip's too short. So let's go 4 times. It probably would work better as well with less keyframes. It's actually struggling to play at full quality, as you can see. But you kind of get the idea of it. So you can get really creative depending on where you're shooting and what kind of effects you want to have for your video. It's probably worth pointing out as well that this is going to take you probably a couple of goes to feel comfortable in the software. So don't get discouraged the first time you use it, because it might be a bit of a learning curve. But if you at any point want to delete any of your keyframes or speed settings, you can go up to Edit and click Clear All, and that'll clear all your keyframes. And then Edit, Clear Speed Settings, and then you'll be back to square one again with a fresh, clean timeline to work from. Now, a lot of you guys have been wondering, can you use Insta360 Studio as a video editor? So if you want to put multiple clips together, and the answer to that is yes, you can. At this point, if you want to use another piece of software, like I prefer to use Final Cut Pro to edit my videos for YouTube together. If that is you, then you'd want to go and export your video now, which I'm going to move on to in a second. But before that, for all you people who want to just edit your video and make it, like an actual video inside this platform, you can click Project and you can click New Project. Let's just call this Test Project. Let's just click Confirm. And there we go. Now we've got our videos here, which you'll notice the same ones I imported from my SD card. So let's just drag those both in, highlight them and drag them in. And you'll notice this has already applied some of the settings, or all the settings, the keyframes, speed settings, everything you did previously to reframe is already saved on the proxy clip here. So when you start editing in the timeline in your project, everything will just transfer over, so you don't have to reframe or re-edit it. It's already there. And also, if you need to make any extra adjustments to your clip, you can actually do that again. So you can click on your clip. I believe you can move it around. Yeah, we can move it around. We can add keyframes here. And then up here, we have our same window of options for adjusting where our shot is and the actual field of view. You can change the aspect ratio here, which is amazing. You can zoom in on the timelines. It's very similar, but probably a little bit more advanced for those of you who want to make a proper video with multiple clips. We'll also notice up here, we've got a number of different tabs. So if you want to add music to your video, you can. So there's a music library already built into Insta360 Studio, which is probably okay. But you can also drag and drop your own music in here if you prefer. We can add some basic text to our video by simply just clicking on the pre-made settings and templates, drag them onto our timeline, and we can also move this along depending on where we want to show. We can edit that. We can decide on the size of it. You can move it around with your mouse, your trackpad, size of it, everything. You can do all this stuff. So it's got a lot going on. I'm just going to get rid of that for now. We can also have transitions as well. Forgot to add about that. So you want transitions between clips. Let's go black fade. It's actually not playing as fast as I would like it to. But that is how you would add multiple clips in there. If you want to add more clips in, you would just simply click media, and then you would drag your media into here, or even go back to the media tab and drag more 360 clips in here, or even just static videos, like standard one camera videos, and you can have access to them in your project here. Now, when you're ready to export your either project or your 360 video, we're going to go up here and click export. And then it will bring up this window here, which we have a number of different options to play around with. First of all, we can probably choose the file name, which would be a smart thing to do, and where you want it to save, which is the path. Resolution, again, depending on what format you want, 1080, 440 or 2160. And this all goes off the actual quality of what you shot on the camera. I would probably keep this the same here, match the project frame rate, unless you want to do something different, but I would just keep that the same. Your bit rate, this is basically the quality it's going to export at, and you can go all the way up to 100 or 200 even. But you'll notice the file size goes massive. For Instagram clips, I'll probably stick between 20 and 40. YouTube, I'll probably go 50 or 60 megabytes a second. Encoding format, again, I probably would just keep this on H.264 or H.265, but I would just leave it as it is. Everything else I'll just leave the same, and then click export, and then that will save to your destination. Just go back here a sec, click export. on the actual just a clip, you'll notice this is slightly different when we're just trying to export one single 360 video. I would keep this export as video. Don't choose 360 videos, choose the video. Bitrate, again, decide where you're going to be using this. Keep that the same, keep this the same. That's literally it, guys. That's how I would do it. So click to start export and it will save to your destination. So that's editing in Insta360 in a nutshell. That should give you the foundations to actually get really proficient at editing your 360 videos. I'm going to leave a link below in the description to my free video settings cheat sheet. Will give you access to all my favorite settings for the different cameras, whether you've got a 360 camera or just a standard normal action camera. It's all there in that guide. And let me know in the comments as well what you think of this. If you need me to make any videos on any other action camera topics, let me know and I will see you in the next one.